Welcome to Power Talks with Santosh Shah. Today we have with us His Excellency Dr. Sheel Kant Sharma, the Secretary General of SAARC, South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. An economic and political conglomeration of 8 South Asian nations, SAARC is the largest of its kind with an influence over 1.5 billion people. South Asians have considerably contributed to the economy, the science and the IT sector of several Western nations. But South Asia itself struggles with conflict and crisis. Your Excellency, what is SAARC doing in combating terrorism and drug trafficking in the region?
The SAARC the process started in the mid-80s. And one of the very first steps which SAARC took was to have a convention for suppression of terrorism. And that was accepted in 1987. It went into operation by the end of the decade. Then it was followed up by a protocol on criminalizing and preventing financing of terrorism, which went into operation by 2004. It has been further built upon by an agreement which was adopted last year on mutual legal assistance. So these are the building blocks in which SAARC countries agreed to work for eradicating terrorism. So all this is now recognized as the way to deal with terrorism. And the SAARC processes have paved way in that direction. It is still a long way to go, and implementation is still in the hands of the member states.
Unlike European Union and NAFTA, SAARC is not yet a strong platform for the South Asian integration and unification. Why is SAARC still a weak entity, and how can SAARC become a strong player?
It's a very good question, and it's a very expected question. I've answered this several times. What I always say is that you should see weaknesses or strengths in the perspective of the countries concerned. SAARC region has 1/5 of humanity. So as a result, the SAARC organization represents the largest regional organization in terms of population. In the case of SAARC, it started with 7, and the last expansion took place in 2007 when Afghanistan joined in. So it is the 8 countries which complete SAARC. Then in 25 years, SAARC has done a large number of things in the normative sense. Because with 1.5 billion people, this organization itself cannot do much. It provides a template, and the member states are to implement it. And people forget that not only India, but even Pakistan and Bangladesh are large countries where populations are something like 16 crores or 17 crores. Even Nepal, which with nearly 29 million people, would figure as one of the larger countries, say, in Europe. So people forget that SAARC consists of large countries with huge populations, and it's a developing region. So it has a problem of not only demographic explosion, but economic underdevelopment, and on top of this, terrorism as a menace has affected this region. We are not flush with funds. We need to, every dollar for any of our countries has 20 priorities chasing it. So SAARC is not, cannot afford to be profligate. So if you see this entirety and you see our achievements, we have a convention against terrorism. We've gone ahead with the SAFTA, which is a SAARC free trade area. So there's a vision which is there. It comprises a number of steps. These steps are being worked upon, though slowly. It takes time.
What will be the focus of the SAARC summit to be held in Bhutan next year?
Frankly, it's a little premature to speak about that, because the SAARC summits, they comprise 2 things. One is that they are the annual occasion for stock taking, and they review the progress. And then the second thing is they set out the agenda for the future. So the agenda can only be discussed after a few months.
Climate change and global warming are the serious threats that the world will soon have to face. South Asia, being the world's largest populous region, we sense that water crisis might be an inevitable issue or a crisis to deal with. Is SAARC planning anything to deal with this catastrophe?
SAARC has had environment on its agenda for a considerable length of time. And last year we had also a SAARC meeting of climate change ministers in Dhaka. They have developed an action plan, and the action plan essentially is for the member states to implement. It deals with how to cooperate and coordinate strategies to deal with the problem in the international forums. So in all these dimensions of the climate change problem, the SAARC process is engaged, and the ministers have gone back with the SAARC action plan. Action will be in the hands of the governments. The good thing is that all SAARC countries realize the dangers, and there is heightened awareness and consciousness to deal with the problem. So successive SAARC meetings on the subject and the overall charter body meetings, they deal with this issue.
Your Excellency, will continue with our conversation after a short break. Do stay with us.